Well, you join me in a familiar location. I'm going to free vend to local Osprey charger, which is very kind of them. I think it's deliberate, but it's been very useful over the time I've had my iPace. I mean, obviously when I started I couldn't charge anywhere other than out and about because I didn't have a charger at home at all because I was living in a flat at the time. I've got a charger at home now, which makes life a lot easier, but it was workable before, and this charger became one of the key places I actually spent time charging at, and a lot of the time it was on free vend, or in fact very cheap vend initially. A bit more expensive now, but Osprey is still great, it's reliable, it's a brilliant charger, and at some point I'm expecting to be replaced by one of the more modern Osprey chargers. So yeah, really good. But this is probably the last time I will be charging here with this car, because it goes back on Friday. It's the end of my 3-year lease. I should say the company's 3 years lease, if you remember the initial episode of my vlog, when I spoke about the reasoning why we went for the iPace. And at the time there wasn't really much of an alternative. Now there's a lot more alternatives. As you saw a week or so back, I did that test drive in the EV6, which is a brilliant car. I've also test driven a Polestar 2. Now the Polestar 2 was a really good car in some ways. The performance was brilliant, very, very snappy, and I even quite liked Android Automotive. I didn't like the interior styling. I felt it was a bit, I guess, Scandinavian, almost a bit too sparse for me. That's also one of the reasons I haven't gone for a Tesla Model 3. I think that's a little bit sparse for me. Still a great car though. The other reason I haven't gone for Model 3 is the boot space. I need to get quite a lot of stuff in the back now. I have a quite young family, so we need a lot of space for buggies and car seats and all sorts of things, and I struggled with that with the Model 3. Model 4Y would have perhaps been on the cards, but I wasn't that impressed with the again, interior styling and to some extent the ride quality of the European one I tried, although I'm told the UK ones are better, so maybe that's a false thing. So yeah, going back to Polestar 2, great car, performance is amazing, not quite iPace but pretty good, felt great to drive and very, very good handling, but other members of the family just didn't like the styling of that. So yeah, that was a no. Sorry about the camera angle here. So I then discovered the Volvo XC40, which is basically a Polestar 2 without the Polestar 2 chassis. So it's basically an mini SUV on a Polestar 2 chassis. Has the same performance roughly, obviously a little bit less economic because it's the body shape, and on paper that should be really good. I mean, it's an SUV, it's about the same size as the iPace. You'd expect it to actually have more space. The boot space looks on paper like it should be bigger, the space in the rear seat should be bigger, but because it's based on a petrol car, I think the packaging isn't quite right, and it was disappointing in terms of what we could get actually load into it. And I found that once I got the car seats in the back, the seats at the side were pushed very, very far forward, and I think it's because the interior space is very compromised by being without not having the cab forward design of the iPace, not making really good use of the interior space. So yeah, I've been looking at a lot of cars. I've even looked at BMWs. Some of those are just too big for the garage. We still have this in my new abode. I've still got garage restrictions. So that's very kind of someone to turn the headlights on and give me a bit more light here. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of restrictions which are still in place. Exactly the same things as before. Garage space, need to park in the garage. Need fairly long distance range. I'm happy with that 220 miles, which is basically what I get from this car now. But yeah, basically those criteria haven't changed. So what have I chosen? Well, I'm not actually going to be able to say that yet, because I have chosen a car, but I'm waiting to see if it actually can get it. Now, you may know that there are a lot of component issues at the moment out there. I mean, a lot of cars are coming without bits. This is particularly why the iPace is a struggle for me at the moment to consider, because if I was going to get an iPace, I'd want the same spec as I've got here. I want a head-up display, I want cameras, 2 particularly around surround cameras. I find those particularly useful with the size of this car. And I can't get a car like that spec. And if I ordered one, in fact, when I started looking at the start of last year, if I'd ordered one then, I still wouldn't have got it in time for when the car is due to go back. So unfortunately, it won't be an iPace I get next. I was hoping it would be. That was certainly on my original list. I thought I'd probably be getting the next model, but to be honest, I don't think Jaguar have kept up with modern developments. I mean, you look at the Kia and Hyundai with their 800-volt architecture, Porsche with their 800-volt architecture as well, able to charge a lot quicker, longer range potentially, and also the entertainment system still has its flaws. Although I have to say, the recent changes to the PV Pro system are quite attractive. The idea of building Alexa, Amazon's Alexa, into the car. Sorry if you've got one of those devices, I've probably just triggered it. But if you building that into the car, which is now available as an update to all PV Pro drivers, it's really excellent. I should also say that's actually available for Jaguar in Control users, so not in car, but as an app you can use on your device, on your speaker, to actually control your car. So you can actually ask the A word to actually to charge your car, or to stop charging, those sort of things, and it works pretty well. Not as good as that skill we talked about on the iPace driver show a few months back, which has a lot more features in it and is easier to use, to be honest. But it's an official skill, so it'll get updated and it'll be supported by Amazon, hopefully. So I think there's a lot of positives on that side of things, but I'm also still hearing of PV Pro users finding things completely freeze up on the maps, freezing as they're driving along, and some of that stuff really worries me. And as you know, I had a breakdown not so long ago, and I can't fault the breakdown recovery people, I can't fault the customer service there, but what I would say is that if that had happened to me on a busy motorway, I would have been scared out of my life. And if I'd had the family in the car, I mean, I would probably just dump the car there and then said never driving this again. So that worried me. So a lot of factors have pushed me away from getting an iPace this time. I probably will regret that. I love my iPace. This has been my favourite car I've ever driven. Breakdown out the window, but this by far has been I've driven a lot of cars, and this has been my favourite car. And if you're looking for an iPace at the moment, and you can get the bits you want and the spec you want, it's still a great car. I mean, if you're not worried about the technology and all that, the driving experience is just out of this world, and it always will be. It's by far the best driver's car out there for EV. So in fact, I'd probably go as far for any car. That instant torque, handling, torque vectoring on the handling, it's just amazing, and it's a great car, and I will definitely miss that. So there's a lot I will miss of the iPace. I'm not going to be stopping having any iPace content on this channel. I've got a lot of contacts in Jaguar and JLR, which I'll still be able to get information from, so breaking news and stuff like that I will still be able to bring to you, and I'm still going to be interested in that as well. I'm going to stay active on the iPace forums and the iPace groups, because I've still got a lot of interest there, and 2-3 years down the line I may get another iPace, especially as there may be a new model coming out by that stage. There's a lot going on in the JLR world. There's a new EV platform they're putting together called Panthera. So they've decided not to cooperate with a third party. There were all sorts of rumours at one point that they might be talking to Tesla or talking to Kia, Hyundai, but they've decided at the moment that that's not going to be the case. They're going to make their own platform, and that may well be a good idea. I mean, obviously all the rumours say that the new Jaguars, when they come out, will be very expensive, 100k plus, maybe outside my range, although obviously with contract hire and the like, it's not really about the full cost of the car, it's about the depreciation cost, and we'll have to see what that's going to be like. But yeah, I think that'll be interesting to see. But as I say, I'm not going to stop iPace content, I'm not going to stop Jaguar content, but I will be saying goodbye to this car, and I will be very sad to go see this car go. I mean, I think it's going to be the saddest I've ever been about a car leaving. And I've changed my car every 3 years because it's basically a business car. And I've been sad about the last 2 cars going, but not as bad as this one will be. This is a major sadness, so to speak. So yeah, we will see it. It will be going in 2 days' time. major job to try and disconnect it from the world. A couple of things you probably should do if you're handing over any Jaguar, but particularly iPaces. Disconnect it from your in control count or your Bivy Pro count, whichever one you got, but disconnect it from that. You can delete your vehicle in control. If you're on a business hire car, they'll want to have things like service history, which you can do on the online osh.jaguar.com online service history, which will give you your service history. And obviously nowadays MOTs are on. This car just passed its MOT. Flying colours. MOTs are online as well, so you'd have to get that information there. But yeah, you need to get all that before you go. But things to think about, it's not just being in control and disconnecting from here maps or whatever. It's things like, have you set this up on a parking app? There's loads of parking apps now which you might have set up. Have you set up autopay for, say, something like Fastned? Have you all these things where you may have actually registered the car? So you have to think about these things before you hand the car back now. Resetting the car is easy. There's a reset set up in there, which I should be doing Thursday night before it goes back on Friday. But yeah, that's basically all that things needs to be thought about. But yeah, I'm sad it's going. I'll probably show a little bit of video now of it leaving, and I will be very sad to see that go. But next time, hopefully I'll be able to tell you what car I'm getting next. I think you probably can guess, actually, having seen some of my videos, but we'll see you then.